This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. The eyes of the people around him all fell on Beiming Lifeng. Clearly, they had lost the ability to use divine sense to probe him, so they couldn't make a proper judgment. All of them were curious. Chang Haomiao's face revealed a strange smile. Jiang Ruobing only appeared in a hurry. I didn't expect you to remember her so well. You can't bully your friend's wife. Brother Lifeng, you're being rude. Beiming Lifeng laughed. Brother Heaven's Expanse, you really don't let go of any opportunity to sow discord. I think the Soul Devourer sect's most powerful martial technique isn't soul arts, but their mouth skills. Think about it, with Jiang Ruobing's personality, how could she just sit there and not move? Even that personal maidservant, Xiao Shui, is missing. This is also against common sense, so this person must be fake. That's true. No wonder I felt it was strange too. Chang Haomiao nodded. With young lady Ruobing's personality, it's still unknown whether Brother Zimao will be able to marry a beautiful woman in the end. That's none of our business, Beiming Lifeng said with a smile. We'll just sit back and wait to collect our profits. It seems like there's no need to come. At this moment, there were already 2 cultivators on the stage. Although the battle had attracted a lot of cheers, it was not in their eyes at all. Chang Haomiao raised his head and looked up into the sky, muttering to himself, I wonder how Li Yunxiao is doing. Everyone was shocked when they heard the name. Although they still did not believe that Yunxiao's true combat strength could easily kill Li Yi in one hit, they could not help but feel an inexplicable tension and pressure. Brother Heaven's Expanse, everyone, I'll take my leave first. This month, I will stay in Red Moon City and cultivate in peace while waiting for the opening of the ancient land and the wasteland. Alright, I'll go with you. Chang Haomiao said. We can exchange and learn from each other, but it's very difficult to find an opponent that you want. The 2 of them looked at each other and smiled, but both of them had a bitter taste. Originally, they had cherished their own martial arts comprehension, but the appearance of Yunxiao and Li Yi had greatly changed their attitude toward the eyes of execution. They were less arrogant and prejudiced, and there was more pressure and a desire to catch up. The 2 of them gradually left the crowd, and many of the remaining people also fell silent and quietly retreated. Everyone was a proud son of the heavens, and no one was willing to lose to others. At this moment, thousands of kilometers up in the sky, within the wind and moon garden, Jiang Ruobing kept leaning on Ning Keyue and begging, Master, it'll be too late if you don't leave now. Master has always doted on me the most and will agree to any request I have. She had been begging for 2 days, and Ning Keyue was annoyed. She scolded, such a big matter is not for you to play around with. If you run away, how will Red Moon City explain it to the world? While there's still time, you should choose a husband for yourself. I can help him win. Jiang Ruobing became anxious, and 2 streams of tears flowed down her face. She sobbed, if Master were in my position, what would it be like? Don't give what you don't want to others, not to mention your own beloved disciple. Master, can you bear to see me unhappy for the rest of my life? How would you know what true happiness and unhappiness are? It's your greatest happiness to find a good husband and marry him, Ning Keyue said coldly. No matter how much you beg me, it's useless. Ning Keyue steeled her heart and closed her eyes. No matter how Jiang Ruobing called out to her, she didn't say anything. Jiang Ruobing punched and kicked her for a while, but she couldn't get within 3 feet of her. She then stomped her foot in anger and turned into a ray of light, heading into the city. She wasn't willing to just sit around and wait to be married, so she secretly changed into men's clothes and headed in the direction of the teleportation array, naively hoping to escape. Second miss, please don't make things difficult for us. In order to deal with the opening of the mystic realm, the guards at the teleportation grand array were several times more than usual. Jiang Ruobing was discovered by the guard captain as soon as she arrived. He invited her to the side and said with a bitter smile, the joust for a spouse is currently taking place in the arena. If people were to know that second young miss is here, I'm afraid that it would cause great trouble. Jiang Ruobing was furious. She grabbed the guard captain and gave him a beating before leaving angrily. Although the Red Moon City was big, she had a feeling that there was no way out. Feeling irritated, she came to the restaurant and drank fake wine. Suddenly, she said, the taste of this wine is so strong. I finally know why Master calls it, the sorrow of being drunk. Suddenly, a clear and bright laughter rang out. The reason why people have so many worries is because their memory is too good. But always numbing yourself is never the way to escape. Jiang Ruobing was stunned for a moment. Two men had appeared in front of her without her knowing and sat down opposite her. The two of them had demonic appearances, causing anyone who looked at them to feel a chill in their hearts. One of them gave her a feeling that she knew him. Jiang Ruobing became alert and shouted. Who are you? Did I ask you to sit down? The person who seemed to know him chuckled and said, Isn't it great to have friends from afar? Young lady Ruobing, I haven't seen you for a few years, but you're much more beautiful than before. You've already become a peerless beauty. Jiang Ruobing was taken aback. She had indeed seen this person before. He could even recognize her after she had changed her appearance. She frowned and said, Who are you? The man smiled. 3 years ago, I followed my father to the Red Moon City. I was summoned by City Lord Jiang. I had a chance encounter with young lady Ruobing. Jiang Ruobing's face revealed a trace of contemplation, and she suddenly said, You're Tang Jie. The young master of the Four Extremes sect, Tang Jie. It seems that I'm not a failure after all. Tang Jie laughed. Lady Ruobing finally remembered. So what if I remember? Jiang Ruobing said coldly. Could it be that you've come to the Red Moon City for the joust for a spouse? With this idea, Tang Jie laughed, I can defeat all the heroes in the world in one fell swoop. Just thinking about it makes me excited and hot-blooded. At such a critical juncture, Lady Ruobing was actually running around and seemed to be preoccupied. I wonder if I can help. Jiang Ruobing's heart skipped a beat. That's right. You're the young master of the Four Extremes sect. I'm sure you have some skills. Can you wait for me to escape from the Red Moon City? Tang Jie was stunned on the spot. He did not expect such a request. He immediately guessed the reason and said with a wry smile, Wouldn't I be hunted down by the Red Moon City? You can use me as a hostage, Jiang Ruobing said. They won't dare to hunt you down. Tang Jie felt dizzy. Suddenly, the person beside him said, All right. However, there must be conditions for the exchange. Lord Sheng, no. Tang Jie was shocked. This matter is too awkward. All right, I agree. Jiang Ruobing was overjoyed. She quickly interrupted Tang Jie and said, Just state your conditions. It was Sheng. Take us to the prison in the Red Moon City, he said, chuckling. Once we save our comrades, we'll take you away immediately. Saving people from the dungeon? You? Jiang Ruobing was shocked. You are the 8 elephants of death? I have nothing to do with them, Sheng shook his head. But my friends are in the dungeon with the 8 symbols. Lord Sheng, please don't. Tang Jie quickly said. If we take her away, we'll be hunted down by the entire Red Moon City. We're going to break into the prison, laughed Sheng, but won't we still be hunted down? What's the harm in bringing her along? Tang Jie was dumbfounded and said, This. Jiang Ruobing looked at the two of them suspiciously and snorted. You're robbing the dungeon of the Crimson Moon City? Do you think you're titled martial sovereigns? Even if I bring you there, you won't be able to return. I've lost out on this deal. Why don't you think of a way to bring me out of the city first, and I'll tell you the location of the dungeon and its various defenses. Sheng laughed. There are 3 martial sovereigns watching you in the air. If they want to take you out, they'll alert the entire city's defense. A bloody battle is inevitable. How are we going to save them? You just need to lead the way. Even if we fail, you won't lose anything. Jiang Ruobing was shocked and couldn't help but look at the person in front of her in a new light. At least she didn't realize that she was being watched. She asked suspiciously, "Are you really confident that you can save them and take me away?" "Your purpose is just to escape from the marriage," Sheng said. If this move didn't work, there were other moves. As long as he wins the first place, you can refuse him at that time. He will never pester you. It's a way to make up for the conditions of you leading the way. What do you think? What? Jiang Ruobing asked in disbelief. He can win? Of all my peers in the world, except for Li Yunxiao, I really don't take them seriously. Tang Jie sneered. Yunxiao? Jiang Ruobing was surprised. You know Li Yunxiao too? All right. She said after some thought. I'll take a risk and try it for my own happiness. Her face revealed a look of determination, as if she was not afraid of death. Shang's face showed a hint of joy. Tang Jie, with Lady Ruobing's help, you can act alone. I can save them by myself, you will only be a burden. All right, be careful then, Lord Shang. Tang Jie nodded. I also want to meet the heroes of the world and see what kind of strength these 4 prodigies of the North region and 7 stars of the East region have. I want to see if they can arouse my interest in a battle. He was full of confidence in his own strength and couldn't help but laugh. The people in the restaurant all looked at him, thinking that he was a madman. Let's not waste any time, Shang laughed. He stretched out his hand and gently drew a green arc above the table. With a flash of light, the 3 of them suddenly disappeared like a blooming flower. This caused the people in the hotel to be shocked. The hotel owner hurriedly ran over, looked around, and suddenly cursed loudly, "God damn it, I haven't even given you the money and it's gone. If you drink my wine, I'll make sure your son doesn't have an anus." As he was cursing, the space in front of him suddenly twisted and 3 figures appeared. All of them looked at the empty table in shock. Boss, where did the 3 of them go? One of them couldn't help but ask, his face turning pale. How would I know? The boss was stunned and immediately shouted, "You know those 3 people, don't you? They haven't paid for the wine yet. Since you know each other, you have to pay." Even we lost him, another person said in a serious tone. How could the boss know? Flustered, he grabbed the owner and threw him out of the door. He turned into a black dot and disappeared into the sky. All the guests in the hotel broke out in cold sweat. They shut their mouths in embarrassment and didn't even dare to look at it. In the end, the man wiped his cold sweat and said, "What's going on?" It had actually disappeared without a trace? There's no aura at all. How is this possible? The 3 of them felt their scalps go numb. If they lost Jiang Ruobing at this time, the consequences would be unimaginable. The 3rd person immediately said, "Go and inform the city guards to activate the hidden space ceiling formation. No one is allowed to leave through the space tunnel. Go to the teleportation array and look for information about the 2 people just now. I'll report this to the military governor." He instantly cleared his mind, and the 3 of them immediately turned into rays of light and disappeared from the restaurant. In the Red Moon City, in a dark and gloomy dungeon, there was a rotten smell. There was no light here. It had been pitch black for 10,000 years, like a dark underground cave that led to an endless abyss. Arg. No, don't, I beg you, don't. Ah. Screams constantly rang out from the abyss. Ever since a few people were imprisoned 2 days ago, the originally gloomy and cold place had been filled with shrill screams from the largest cage, making people shiver. Motherfucker, what the hell is going on? What kind of perverts are locked up there? That scream seemed to have come from the head of Luli Mountain Village, Pei Jiochi. Could he have also met with misfortune? When that stupid bird came in, he even said that he was a relative of the Jiang family's mistress and would be able to leave in 2 days at most. I'm afraid he's finished now. He's a martial emperor. Could it be that the freak who was locked up behind him is also a martial emperor? Who knows? I heard that a 9-star martial sovereign is imprisoned in the deepest part of this abyss. From time to time, a terrifying aura will come up, but I've never heard any sound. A terrifying aura? Wasn't the cultivation base suppressed by a strange force in this prison? Why is there still an aura? God knows what's going on. All the martial artists who were locked up in the prison had lost their cultivation, even the martial sovereigns. It was as if they were affected by some kind of formation and restriction. Once they were locked up, they became ordinary mortals. If they wanted to be the king, it would depend on their strength. Just as everyone was discussing this matter, Peijiochi's inhuman cries began to come from the huge prison. It made everyone cry. Blarg, blarg. There was also the sound of vomiting, which made people wonder what was going on. How is it? How much do you need? In the prison, Xiaoba wiped his mouth. He had vomited everything in his stomach. He looked at Li Yi in front of him in horror. A long robe was draped over his body to cover his shame. Peijiochi was lying on the ground naked. His buttocks were covered in blood. It was a terrible sight. Blarg. Xiaoba couldn't help but vomit again. He swore that if he could go back this time, he would never work with this person again in his life. Calm down, young man. When you're my age and have seen everything, you won't find it strange anymore. The tyrannical sky tiger patted his shoulder and said, unless someone comes to save me, my only hope of escape is the palace master's Yang secrets of great creation. Li Yi took a deep breath, his face extremely dark. I feel like I'm still lacking a little. If I can get a stronger martial supreme, I should be able to break through the suppression of the strange force here and recover my origin power. His gaze swept across the cell, and everyone was so frightened that they squeezed into the corners, trembling in fear. Li had been sitting cross-legged beside the cell. She had not opened her eyes since she came in, as if she was immersed in cultivation. Everyone's cultivation level in the prison was suppressed by an abnormal force, so they could not sense the strength of the others. Peijiochi was only bragging about how powerful he was, which was why he was dragged out by Li Yi and plucked. No one is willing to sacrifice themselves? Then I can only try one by one. Li Yi's face turned cold as he walked toward the group. Wah, no. Spare me, spare me. Those people cried out in fear and tried to hide. Some people were so scared that their legs went soft and they fell to the ground, unable to move. Silence. Li suddenly opened her eyes and said. Although her voice was weak, it seemed to have a strange power, and all of them quieted down. What's wrong, Lord Li? Li Yi frowned. Li glanced at him and seemed to feel a little uncomfortable. Her face was slightly pale as she said, someone's here to save us. They've already entered the dungeon abyss and just contacted me. What? Who is it? Li Yi's eyes burned with rage as he lowered his voice and roared, why didn't you inform me that someone was coming to save you? You've caused me suffer. He was so angry that his body trembled and he almost fainted. He had always wanted to forget those unbearable past experiences. After cultivating the profound ice essentials, the towering Yang creation secrets had also been trying to forget and cut off those tragic past completely. But now that he was trapped in the mist, he couldn't care less in order to survive. He recultivated his divine art, intending to break through the strange suppression in this prison in one go. He was about to succeed when Li suddenly told him that someone had come to save them. A drop of cold sweat rolled down Li's forehead as she said in embarrassment, how can I understand the strange behavior of you humans? Li Yi replied. Sister Li, are you serious? Xiaoba was overjoyed and quickly came over, saying, who came to save you? It's me. A crisp sound was heard, and a round profound level weapon appeared in the prison, emitting a Dao weapon aura. Then, Sheng's figure gradually appeared beside the armillary sphere. Lord Sheng. Li immediately stood up and went forward to welcome him, I didn't expect you to come personally. This place has been sealed by a strange power, Xiaoba was surprised. Mr. Sheng, how did you do it? Mo-Win, Sheng said. He casually drew a circle in the prison, which gradually expanded to form a door. He said, Li, you take Li Yi and leave first. There's someone waiting outside. Yes. Li immediately pulled Li Yi, who was still in a daze from anger, and stepped through the door, disappearing from the prison. Everyone was stunned at the sight of this. Then, they rushed over with joy and wanted to escape. Sir, please save us as well. We will never forget the kindness of rebirth. As long as you can get me out of here, I'm willing to even pick up soap. Everyone squeezed over while crying. With a light tap of Shang's finger, the tunnel was about to disappear. Mr. Shang, please slow down, wait for us. Xiaoba said hurriedly. He and the tyrannical sky tiger helped up Dong Menyuan, who was almost dead, and rushed over. Shang looked at him indifferently and smiled. I'm only here to save Li and Li Yi. As for you guys, do I even know you? Xiaoba was stunned as he watched Shang's figure slowly disappear with the armillary sphere. He could not help but curse, I'll do it. The next time I see you, I'll skin you alive and step on you all day long. Suddenly, the space around them shook, and Shang reappeared in the prison. Xiaoba was stunned for a moment before overjoyed. He smiled embarrassedly and said, Mr. Shang, I was just speaking out of anger. Please be magnanimous and don't take it to heart. I knew you wouldn't leave us behind. Shang looked at him indifferently and said, No, the space of the prison was sealed in an instant. There's an expert coming. Xiaoba, Ingluo. Humph. Daring to break into the prison of the Red Moon City, a toad falling into a pot of boiling water, only death awaits. A cold sneer was heard, followed by an aura that immediately shook away the crazed crowd. A ray of light suddenly fell from a place where there was no sunlight for 10,000 years. All the prisoners screamed in pain, almost blinded by the light. Even Xiaoba, who had only been here for 2 days, felt a sharp pain in his eyes when he suddenly saw the bright light. He hurriedly carried Dong Menyuan with tyrannical sky tiger and hid in a corner. They had no cultivation at all now. Even if they were touched by the aftermath of these people's attacks, they would end up turning into ashes. You have so many people here, Shang laughed. I'm only taking 2. Do you have to be so petty? I hope you can make an exception. Make an exception? No, I don't have many people here. You saved 2, but I'm going to catch 4. The man crossed his arms in front of his chest and stared coldly at Shang. I'm already considering beating you half to death and hanging you in the center of the city for the public to see. How unreasonable, Shang laughed. Humph, you're not even human, what's with the kindness? The man snorted coldly, clearly losing his patience. He extended his right hand in midair and quickly grabbed towards Shang. You're very bold and confident. Shang chuckled. He took a step forward and dodged the attack with a strange posture. At the same time, an afterimage appeared in the air. His real body was surrounded by the afterimages as he stepped out of the prison and walked out on his own. He mumbled to himself, since the space is sealed, I'll just use the main entrance. The pupils of the man from the Red Moon City contracted, and he revealed an unusually serious expression. He said in a cold voice, without my orders, no one has ever left this prison. In a flash, he caught up to Shang. A dark and colorless spear suddenly thrust out, without a sound, like a venomous snake in the dark, sticking out its tongue. In the Wind and Moon Garden, Ning Kue, who had been cultivating, suddenly opened her eyes. The light on the 7 thrones gradually dimmed and rotated in the air in a circle. Under the reflection of the blood-colored moon scale, they slowly descended. The 7 thrones were arranged in a line in front of Ning Kue and landed on the ground. The aura coming from the throne seemed to be from ancient times that connected the present and extended into the endless future.